Hi, welcome back to another devlog for my game Paradiso. This week I'm not going to be talking about the game specifically that much because frankly I am tired. So I'm recording this when I would ordinarily be working on the game, but I need to step back for a couple minutes. So instead I'm going to talk about a couple tips that I've learned to make a game with zero experience and basically no money. So the first couple tips are in regards to coding. I'm using GameMaker, but this applies to most engines. If you don't know how to code, start with the tutorials on the site. So GameMaker has like 8 to 10 tutorials for different types of simple games. One that I like the Space Rocks one because it kind of teaches you basic functions in GameMaker and basic movement and whatever. But there's a platformer one, there's like an idle clicker. And when you're comfortable with that, move on to YouTube tutorials, because those are super helpful. For GameMaker, you can find a tutorial for basically anything you want. I've found Peyton Burnham's and Sara Spalding's tutorials to both be very good. One thing I will say about tutorials, but this extends to just coding in general, if you are new to coding and you're using the visual language, try to switch to just the regular script as soon as possible. I was using the visual stuff and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fine, and I can just follow tutorials and use the visual. But using GML visual makes it difficult to follow tutorials, and once the game becomes too complex, it's hard to navigate. So you can learn what you're doing faster if you switch over. Even if you don't understand it at first, switch over and just follow the tutorials closely, and eventually you'll learn faster. Also with tutorials, I would recommend not moving on until you understand what is going on. And I know that sounds kind of contradictory to what I just said, that you don't need to understand when you switch over to just the regular language. That's true, you don't need to understand, but you will go a lot faster if you make sure that you understand the steps. I've followed tutorials to set up entire systems, and then I need to change those systems, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And it might be hundreds or thousands of lines of code long, and I don't know how to change it. But if you follow the tutorials and stop and be like, okay, what does this function call? And make sure you know that, you can leave a little comment on it, say this is what this does, and have maybe a messier code, but one that you understand better. And ultimately that's what matters. To me anyways. Maybe there's some like actual coder out there who's like, well, you have to structure it like this for it to be optimized. I don't know. Maybe, probably. But I like to leave a bunch of comments so I know exactly where to find things. The other tip I have for coding specifically is probably a bit of a controversial one. AI can be a good resource sometimes. I don't like using AI, but it's sort of like the Ring of Power in Lord of the Rings. Like, the ring is bad, but it gets Frodo out of a pinch. But it's bad. It corrupts him. And that's sort of how I view AI, where it's like, don't build your entire system on it. Don't build huge things on AI. Basically, I would say, like, use it to clarify errors that you don't understand and can't find on a forum, and use it to maybe reorganize things. Maybe. I don't know. I mostly use it for errors, because if you try using it for entire, like, mechanics, chances are it'll overhaul your entire existing system and won't work properly. And a lot of the times it says, hey, do this in GameMaker, and it tells you to do something that doesn't exist in GameMaker. So just, I don't know, just don't. Like, use it sparingly, and it kind of, using AI to make your game, in my opinion, kind of takes out the satisfaction of trial and error, do it yourself. Like, I don't know. With my game, it's like, oh, this is a thing I made, and like, it kind of sucks, but I made it, and that makes it cool. With AI though, the same thing goes for the tutorials. If you're going to use it, make sure you learn what it is doing. And that's a good use for AI. If you're following a tutorial and you're like, I don't understand what this line is doing, paste it into something and have it explain it to you. And that's if you feel ethically okay with using AI, do it. And if you don't touch it. You don't need to touch it to learn how to do stuff. I was going to say something else about that, but I can't remember what. So I'll just leave it there. Use it responsibly. I don't know. Be your own judge, but kind of keep that Lord of the Rings, One Ring concept in mind. It is a powerful tool, but it's not necessarily a good tool. Moving on to art and music and stuff like that, you don't need a lot of that early on, so if you have no experience, that's fine. But if you're like me, you want to have a good, you want to make your level and then have something to make sure that you're getting the vibes somewhat right. If you have no money and no time to do everything yourself, go on itch.io and look for free resource pack. I'm using this Jumpstart tile set and it's wonderful. I love it, and I got it on itch.io. A lot of packs on there are free for personal use, so they're great for just blocking out levels and seeing how things look. A lot of them are free for commercial use as well, if you give them credit. Same goes for music. You can get a lot of game music that's free for personal use, free for commercial use. Utilize both early on or later on even. Depends on how much you want to do. If you want to do everything yourself, that's fine. It's going to take you longer, but use those resources early on to make sure your vision is being executed the way that you want. And lastly, just kind of broadly speaking about the process, I have a lot of time to work on my game, but that's not true for everyone, and that's not always true for me. I'm very prone to sitting down to work on my game and opening it, and being like, okay, what do I do now? I start working on something, then I get distracted and start working on something else. My suggestion to make the most of your time is figure out what you want to do. Let's say you have 2 hours to work on your game. Figure out what you want to do and focus on only that. If something else pops up along the way that is unrelated to the thing you're working on, just make a note of it. So I have a big list of things that I need to get done that I will get done when I'm finished on what I'm working on now. And that's a super obvious thing to say, but I don't do it. And I imagine that a lot of people don't do it. So it's just a good reminder to just be smart about your time. And yeah, that's about all I have at the moment. I will probably make a part 2 to this later. Those are just the ones that are on my mind, kind of fresh. I hope some of this has been helpful. I will leave links in the description for good asset packs, good websites for free commercial stuff. I'll leave a list of the tutorials that I've been using, stuff like that. I want this video to be a good resource to people like me, so I will leave all that into the description as much as I can find.